and then we'll talk about it, and then I'll do the introduction.
Okay.
It's almost like my finger knew exactly what I was doing because I was just letting that run.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you almost
we're
gave
finally doing
yourself
this,
a pause
Chloe,
before it
'cause I was
actually
going to make a
started.
sandwich.
You know, because you knew you were going to need a pause.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Okay. Let's do it.
Dave, vegetable
What do I
enthusiast.
think about heroes? Well, we've all seen them, haven't we? Swanning about the place with their disproportionately high cheekbones and comically massive weapons.
Wanker.
Roughing up bandits, because they like to rough up bandits, don't they? Living it up with the common folk every single night. On a day-to-day basis, I'd say the true hero is me, someone who's breaking new ground with fruit, with veg, on the agricultural side of things.
Just look at them.
Not wafting around mythical creatures. And that's what they are.
Whack.
Wafters.
Yeah, well done.
You see, I'm not here.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
play
well done.
legendary beast. I'm here to conquer the vegetable, not a euphemism. Let's face it, the age of heroes is over. This is the age of innovation. This, if you will, is the age of death. One moment.
I kind of don't,
This is awkward.
like, get it.
Yeah, me either. I mean, we're definitely gonna touch on this more. You know what I mean? But I don't get it.
Oh,
Oh, Fable.
Oh, wait.
Oh, Fable.
And what is she like eating that sandwich to indicate? Okay.
She tossed his salad.
All right. So here's my. All right. So let's go back now. Let's take this beat for beat here, and talk about some things. Okay. First of all, no big deal here, right? Dave, vegetable enthusiast. Let's get to a good. Yeah, that's a good skill of Dave.
Dave.
Let's talk
pussy.
about Dave. You know, I love the IT crowd. I love that show. You know what I mean? I don't really have anything bad to say about Dave necessarily, you know?
I've never seen an episode.
Of the IT crowd. He's pretty funny on there. He's neurotic. He's one of those neurotic, nerdy guys. You know what I mean?
I see.
There's an episode where, like, every episode when dealing with nerd culture, right? You're gonna have the D&D episode, right? Dave is the dungeon master. Or not Dave. He's not Dave on IT. I can't remember what his name is on the IT crowd. If I'm being honest, like I don't even remember this actor's name. Let's keep it real here. It's been a while since I watched the IT crowd, and it's been a while since I even had to learn this dude's name, you know? Or even saw this dude's name in print. But Noel, what's that guy's last name? Noel something or other from the Mighty Boosh. He was
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was in the IT crowd too, so yeah, he was on that show too. He plays like a neurotic goth guy. It's funny. He's a funny character.
Right.
Yeah, I got nothing against Dave here, you know. I think he's probably here for comic relief. Here's my thing. Is he supposed to be a villain?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Is like, that's what I don't get about it. Is he a villain? Like, I don't understand, because I also don't necessarily feel like I'm on her side either.
Well, no. That is going to my next beef, but but I
don't feel like I'm on either of their sides.
I think if I have to be on a side, I might be on Dave's side, although it does make him sound kind of whiny, right? This trailer makes him seem slightly whiny. It does, right? He's like,
I agree.
heroes, I don't get them. Walking around, eating animals, you know? And this and that. But, come on. Come on. Really? That's our hero for what?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that is our hero for Fable.
I mean, to be fair, she looks kind of like me.
Well, that's my problem. she looks kind of like me too. And and my problem is I don't play games to have to feel like I'm in the real world. I play games to escape the real world, right? Like let me I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you. I'm going to use an example. I would not cast me to, even if I could. Like, let's say I can make a new Batman movie. I get the green light from DC and Warner Brothers, and I can make a Batman movie. I'm not going to go turn around and self-insert myself as Batman. You know?
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
No, no, I'm not. This ain't Velma.
Well, why the hell not?
Because this isn't Velma, and you can see why Velma's a craptastic show.
Yo, chill.
Right?
I agree.
I'm just keeping it real here, right?
No,
when
I'm with you.
We're doing reviews. This is honest
It was
review.
just savage. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, this is an honest review, right? I'm not going to self-insert myself as Batman. I will self-insert myself as Penguin because I better reflect the Penguin, right? But when it comes to my heroes, I want gorgeous people doing fantastic things. You see what I'm saying? Like, I want my heroes to be gorgeous, whether they're male or female, right? I want to insert myself as Dean Winchester. From
yeah.
Supernatural, if I could make a Supernatural movie and I'm like, I would go and get Jensen Ackles to reprise his role as Dean Winchester. Why? Because Jensen Ackles is a good looking man, take that, don't take that. You know what I'm saying, right? I can look at that man and understand why women find him beautiful, right? I get that.
Well, yeah.
I get that.
Here's the thing. Like, here's a short side tangent, right? If you take the proportions of the Vitruvian Man and overlay it over Jensen Ackles' face, it fits almost 1-to-1. So, I mean,
so the man is
I get it. Like, his face is almost completely proportionate, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's literally
as via the Fibonacci sequence, like
his face is the golden spiral.
His face is almost perfect.
You put his face.
I can't even argue with that. I understand why women think he is just fucking beautiful, because he is. Who can argue with that? It's I get it. There's no way that anybody could even fucking compete with that.
What you were saying, I'm sorry. I'm gonna pee. What you're saying is that if you took Jensen Ackles' face and added it to the Fibonacci sequence, the golden spiral, and slapped it down on a Joe board and did the sequence, you would be looking into the face of God, is what you're saying? God's like creation, like the universe.
I think that if Jensen Ackles' face was just a tiny bit more proportioned, that he would look like Adam himself.
And henceforth. So So just to show that we're being fair, we've already talked up Jensen Ackles in a grand way, right? So why can't we have our female characters match a similar criteria? Why do they look like, I mean, I don't know. Why do they look like, I don't know, Marvel's Captain Marvel, you know? Like from the comic books, square jawed, ratty hair. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit here and just bash this person, you know, like whoever, because I think they might have gotten somebody real to model this after. And because I don't know who this actress is, I don't want to just be totally critical of them. But my gosh, man. My point being is that I just want gorgeous people doing gorgeous things when they're in the lead roles. Now, granted, what if there may be a storyline here that we're missing, right? We're calling this person the hero of the story. She's obviously going to be the hero of the story, right? But what if she's not as favorably looked upon in the actual storyline? Like, what if she's a screw up? You know what I mean? Like, what if she's an underdog? If she's the underdog, it makes sense, right? It's the same reason why, like, when it comes to Mario and Luigi, you always root for Luigi because you know Luigi's always the underdog going into every situation. You know what I mean? And between the two, like, Luigi's supposed to be the less favorable looking one, right? Mario's supposed to be like the more ruggedly handsome Bambino, and Luigi's like his, I don't know, lanky brother. You know what I'm saying? So
What up, bitch? I got a one up, bitch.
yeah. What's in the question mark? Okay, no. But so if that's the case, then yeah, okay, this makes sense. The fact that this is what we got. But if they're going to marry Sue her, which I feel like they might be aiming for, because the rest of the trailer kind of makes it look like that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if she's right here, like we'll skip past this and we'll get to him looking at her like this, right? In the rest of this trailer, are they fighting each other? Is Dave fighting our little Thumbelina here? Is that what I'm to understand here? I'm gonna play it again.
This is awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Right? He is. Okay. So if that's the case, then Dave is the bad guy, at least as far as this trailer goes, right? But then there's this. She's sitting on Dave's glasses giggling.
Oh yeah, she iced him out.
Yeah, so if she's the hero,
Or at least beat the shit out of him and
yeah,
got away.
she won the fight, it looks like, right? And you know, this is just one trailer. It may be really misleading, but this is a red flag for me. Because if she's supposed to be the underdog, if they're doing an underdog story, then this shouldn't be at all. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What we're looking at shouldn't be at all. But what it looks like is that this isn't an underdog story. So that means they need to go back and well, let's go back for a second. I keep passing it. They need to fix that mug.
Well,
Because if it's not an underdog story, then my Mary Sue needs to look more like Laura Croft and less like what's a good Odie from Garfield. You know what I'm
Dang.
saying? Like, I'm serious, bro. Like, I know that sounds mean, but I'm just being honest. Like, you know, it's the way, it's what people are asking for. You know, we don't go into fantasy. We don't we don't try to escape our world through fantasy to be reminded of the real world on a regular basis. We don't come here to be preached at. You know what I mean? We don't come here. We come here Because I understand that making this character ultra beautiful may not be actually realistic. I understand that. I don't care. I didn't come to Fable for realism. I came to Fable for high fantasy, right? Imagine if
Right.
imagine if Arwen or Galadriel from Lord of the Rings. Imagine if we were being realistic with Galadriel. Well, I mean, technically with Lord of the Rings, Galadriel, the way Galadriel looks would be realistic, right? Cuz she's an elf and she's like blah. All right, Eowyn, right? Princess Eowyn
Yeah.
of Rohan. Imagine if they were being ultra realistic about her. It would, but we don't go to that. That's why they call it fantasy. And that's all I'm really being critical about. I'm not being critical about this person in general. Like whoever modeled for that or did that, yeah, that's fine. Do what you do. I'm not I'm not a specimen either. You know what I'm saying? I myself am not a specimen of a man. That's fine. I'm not thinking I deserve to be in a game, unless I'm playing the Penguin. I've already said hashtag new Arkham game. I'm available, y'all. I'm available.
Yeah.
I'll play the Penguin. I'll do it. I'll do it. Seriously, though, like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? You think this game is going to be any good, or do you think they're already, I'm not saying, again, I'm
Oh,
not,
I hope it'll be good. I
yeah,
don't necessarily think it has to be garbage. I'm
yeah,
just never like with any game, it's hard to impress me with a cinematic trailer as opposed to a gameplay trailer. You know, people have known for a while that Fable has been low key in the works. To see it pop up is kind of like interesting, at least as a confirmation to be like, yes, it's still there, but it's still not much to show, in my opinion. Like, I'm just not terribly impressed as a fan of the other games. Um, that doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's going to be garbage, though.
right. And that, I guess, to be fair, I'm not saying that just because our main character doesn't look gorgeous that the game is going to be terrible. But it is one of my beefs. It's already like, if I was going to rate it on a scale, it's already lost points because of that, right? Just because if this is what I got to look at through the whole game, it needs to be something worth looking at. I know,
Well, and traditionally, you get the choice of playing male or female.
and getting to create your own character in a sense,
Well,
like,
to some degree, within some degree.
yeah. Well, I mean,
It
well, like,
wasn't full customization, but in a like a sort of climate where full customization in that sort of game is more the norm, it wouldn't shock me if they implemented full customization upon character creation.
well, I remember you got to like customize their hair and stuff. Like you didn't get to necessarily do it off the bat, but you could like buy different hairstyles, I think, and stuff like that,
Exactly.
and fix their body types and stuff like that. Through working out or eating too much or doing this or doing that. Like in the original Fable games, much credit to them. If you ate too much fatty foods, you blimped out. You know what I mean? Or if you
Yeah.
did certain things too much, you become real muscular and so on. So to get yourself to like that perfect picturesque figure took a lot of work in game. You had to be real disciplined on what you ate, what kind of like exercises you did and this and that. And that's fine. Like if they want to do that, that's fine. Like they're like, well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to be beautiful, make yourself beautiful, do what it takes to become beautiful. I'm fine with that, but and like I said, I know that sounds real harsh, but dude, I shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have to just not be beautiful unless it works within the game's, you know, the old Sega Genesis game, the Ooze. I didn't expect the Ooze to be gorgeous. And if you've never played the old Sega Genesis game, the Ooze, check it out. It's really good. It's hard. It's like, old retro hard style, but that game is you know, but I didn't expect the ooze to be beautiful, but it works within the story, right? If this doesn't work within the story, they just didn't make this character attractive just for the sake of being like, well, you know, how realistic is that? That's a stupid reason. You know what I mean? Like, that's a dumb reason. That doesn't necessarily mean the rest of the game is going to suck, though. You're right. It doesn't necessarily mean the game is going to suck. The rest of the game could be great. It just loses points in my book. So it better freaking bring it. You know? Because, what, you know, because they're already doing this, in my opinion. And Dave, I'm rooting for Dave. Dave is an interesting sounding character, you know?
I like Dave better than her.
Yeah, I hate the fact that they make Dave sound kind of whiny, but I mean, you know, he does give himself a good explanation as to why he's complaining. He's just like, you know, I'm into all this stuff and I feel like I have committed my life to giving back to my community with my vegetables and my gardening, and I get no credit for it. Well, yeah, that would suck. That would suck. So, I mean, yeah, Dave is sounding whiny, but it looks like they do my boy Dave kind of bad right there at that last clip right there where she's just sitting on his busted glasses. You know? I don't know. What do you think? Let's rate this game trailer. Out of 5 stars, what do you give it?
Oh, many times, yeah, and it's like nothing against this game exactly. Just cinematic trailers don't impress me, so it like I give it more like a 2 or 3,
2
maybe
or 3?
2.5.
2.5? So 2.5. 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. With me, it's got good graphics. I like Dave. I'm not necessarily hung up on the cinematic, it being a cinematic trailer. I can understand why you are, but that never really bugs me nearly as much, you know? It looks like it's got good graphics. I like Dave. I don't like her. And I really don't really understand the story. I feel like we really don't understand the story. Is Dave a good guy? Is he a bad guy? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? You know, like, so I'm gonna have to agree with you. Although I'm gonna give it a solid like 2 stars. I'm not even gonna give it like 2.5. I'm just gonna give it 2. Or do you mean like 1 and then like half a star, making it 2? Or is it like half of a third? You know what I mean?
Like 2.5 stars.
Okay, yeah, 2.5 stars, yeah. All right, yeah, I don't know. I had a brain fart. I know what 2.5 means. I know what 2.5 means.
No, you're good.
I give it
2.5 stars.
Yeah, I give
2
it just a
stars
solid 2.
plus 1/2 star.
Yeah, I give it just a solid 2. It's nowhere even nearly reaching a third. As it stands right now. Now, a gameplay trailer may come out. I may see some of the mechanics to it, you know, and I want to know the story more. If you give me some more stuff that I can get behind, that can always go up. But as it stands right now, good graphics, and I like Dave, but I don't know enough about Dave to make it a 3-star deal. You know what I mean? And you're right. I'm just going to be honest. I don't like her. As it stands right now, I don't like her. I do like the little scene though where they throw the chicken. She yeets the chicken, and the guy pushing the carriage just looks and goes, "Oh yeah, good job." You know what I mean? Yeah, that cracked me up. That cracked me up. And if it wasn't for that dude, it'd probably get a 1. All right, let's move on to the next trailer. Moving on to the next trailer. Now this one's a palate cleanser because we're gonna geek out on this one for sure.
Oh, good.
We're definitely gonna geek out on this one for sure. For sure.
Oh yeah, good one.
Yes.
before I watched the direct, I actually saw like that screenshot of Peach on Instagram, and I didn't even have to read the caption because I saw that Nintendo themselves posted it, and I was like, no fucking way. No way.
When
Yeah.
it was 3 in the morning and I was trying to sleep and I caught this. And I about lost my freaking mind. I couldn't even sleep after that. I ended up staying up all night because I was so giddy.
Yeah, dude. Switch is low-key reaching like a little bit of a renaissance.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, at this point, Switch has been out for a while, and Nintendo, like, I mean, they play everything close to the vest, so they may have plans for a new console, but they're not, like, you know, they don't let anything slip.
No. And it would be kind of weird for them to come out with a new console right now, though. Because Switch hasn't been out that long, has it?
It's been out for a minute now. It's been out since, like, let me look it up to be exact, but I feel like it's been out since at least 2015. I'll double check.
Since 2015, really? The Switch?
I may be 2017, so I'm a few years off. but
Oh,
that's
man.
still-
I thought it came out like in 2020, yo. Really?
Nah, dude. Yeah, like, I was a few years off, so. But even still, like, that, it's been a minute now. That's why people are like, the Switch is outdated, but it's like, nah.
Well, that's crazy
you.
to me. That's crazy to me, though, because, like, I thought the Switch was still kind of fresh. I don't know why I thought,
I mean,
because
yeah.
the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, whatever it is, haven't been out for that long, have they? I mean, they've been out since like what, 2020,
like
right?
2020, yeah.
Yeah, so dang. And then so that means that Nintendo came out with a console, its newest console, 3 years, right? If my math is correct, about 3 years before PlayStation and Xbox came out with their new consoles, which means Nintendo kind of rush to beat these guys on a lot of stuff, don't they?
To some degree, and like even still they kind of try to hit the market. That's the thing, is they really know how to play the market in their favor, because like you said, they within some degree rush to beat these guys to the punch, but they're not trying to do it in such a way to be like, look at our hardware. But they
Right.
kind of are. You know,
They
they're like,
kind of are.
look at our hardware, but it's not necessarily about like how, it's more about innovation, which is kind of what Nintendo has always been about within some degree, because Nintendo is actually a toy company, low key.
Yeah. I mean,
You
it
know?
really is, though. That's the thing. Like, it's
So yeah, like they, and I feel as though Switch is kind of hitting a renaissance now that the quote unquote next gen consoles are out, and Switch is still relevant.
I feel like I feel like there's an old book, right, called Taipei, and it's really good. It's called Taipei. It's written by the same guy who wrote Shogun, right? And I feel like Nintendo has always been good at strategy. I feel like this really is a tactical move on Nintendo's part. Like I
For
feel
sure.
like I feel like I feel like they've known that they were planning on doing this with Mario RPG, but they wanted to wait for the right time. So they released the
Yeah.
Switch. They released the Switch like balls ahead of PlayStation, of Sony and Microsoft, right? And they released their games, and things like Breath of the Wild is just, it's a great game. People love it. People are still talking about it even today, you know? which is really awesome considering how long the Switch has been out, which means that Breath of the Wild is still contending with things like Elden Ring and stuff. You know what I mean? Uh, it it's wilding out now. Now you see all this console wars going on between Microsoft and Sony, right? How Microsoft is systematically going through and buying up all the game companies. You know, they now own like Bethesda and all these other companies, which makes you wonder, well, is Sony going to be able to get any of these games on their console now, or is Sony needing to start
Because they're low-key trying to push them out.
yeah, is Sony going to need to start creating like they did and make so like, because I mean, I'll tell you what, one of the reasons why Sony was so great for a hot minute there is because they came out with things like Resident Evil, things like God of War, things like Devil May Cry. I mean, they in their way, they were like Nintendo in a sense where they had their star characters. Like Nintendo had Mario and Samus and Link. Sony had Dante, Kratos, Solid Snake. You know what I mean? That just crazy, which is funny because Metal Gear's original, like the original first Metal Gear was on Nintendo, but yet, you know, Metal Gear Solid is really what put it on the map, right? And that was Sony. But regardless, they had their own deals, and then Microsoft was kind of like, okay, well, but they had Master Chief, right? And they had Gears of War. So they started trying to build their own characters, you know, and this and that. Well, now it looks like Sony, if it's going to want to compete, it's going to have to start creating again because Microsoft ain't bothering to create. They're just buying. They're just reaching into deep pockets and buying now, right? And now Nintendo all of a sudden said, yeah, but you forgot. You forgot about one thing.
Yeah, well, you know, and I digress a little bit, and I won't spin off on this too much, but that seems like it's going to be a prevalent thing in the creative industry is to actually create as opposed to rehash
or buy,
you know, or buy, because like it's going to become an important thing, because I seem to remember recently hearing something about how writers are again going on strike, much like in the early 2000s when reality TV became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I just heard that the other day, you know,
yeah,
like
it's
kind of
true.
researching it, that's why reality TV became such a thing, is because writers were on strike.
And you know, I have a theory about that. And then we'll digress and we'll go through this trailer real quick. But I have a theory as to why writers are going on strike again, you know? It isn't because they're not getting paid enough or this or that. They're actually getting paid really good. It's because of what we're talking about right here, how everything is either a rehash or you're just buying things, right? Think about Disney, right? Disney had a renaissance in the 90s with movies like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King and Aladdin, right? Those four movies put Disney back on the map. Like I said, some people could say Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame and stuff, but those were in that same era, but those really rode heavily off the coattails of those those other movies. Yeah.
Yeah, The Lion King came out at the same time as Pocahontas, if I'm not mistaken, and it overshadowed it.
No.
Or around the same time.
Yeah, I think Pocahontas came out after The Lion King. Yeah, and The Lion King was still like, people liked Pocahontas. Pocahontas did really good, right? But it was riding the coattails of what The Lion King had just done. And yeah, Pocahontas was cool, but at that same time, all of a sudden, I will point out, like you're saying, it overshadowed it. It overshadowed it. Right after that, Lion King got turned into a Broadway musical in New York City. Right. You know what I mean? There is no higher honor for a musical play, at least in those days, than to be on Broadway, you know? So Disney had that renaissance. Well, Disney hasn't done anything really. I mean, Toy Story was cool. You know, it was different, it was neat, whatever. But let's face it, Disney's been slowly going downhill. And now what is Disney doing? Disney isn't really creating, they bought out IPs. They bought Marvel, they bought Star Wars, and they've ran them into the ground. You know, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm just going to keep it real. They ran it into the ground. Kevin Feige didn't do anything. People were singing his praises about how he masterfully crafted the Marvel universe. That was already crafted for him. When by the time they bought Marvel, most people don't know that the first the first Marvel movies in the cinematic universe were done by another company. They weren't Disney. The whole plot, everything had already been kind of crafted for them, and he just carried it out. It was like shooting fish in the barrel. You know, he would have had to really, really crap the bed to F that up, right? So that's kind of what Microsoft is doing. It's doing the Disney thing. It's not really creating anymore as much as it's just buying now these different IPs and these different companies. And I don't know, like, it just seems to me, yeah, sure, Nintendo's remastering Mario RPG, but what makes me excited about this is the fact that Nintendo still owns it. It's a Nintendo thing that people have been asking them for, man, since I was a kid. I mean, this game came out when I was like 11, I think. You know, like, I was a little kid back in the 90s when this game came out. And at that time, it was the greatest RPG ever. It was better than anything that the Final Fantasies, the Chrono Triggers, I don't care who you are, you know it's true. You know?
Okay, yes, I agree with you. And this is another point that I've been ramping up to talk about is I know you weren't in the ground zero for the Super Smash Brothers hype, right? Like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, as characters were being added to the roster. But dude, the hype for the possibility of getting fucking Gino.
I know. See, that's the thing. I haven't been a part of that, but I've had my finger on the pulse. And I know, I know that Gino has, people from Smash Brothers have been begging for Gino, but it wasn't ever going to happen, right?
So Nintendo obviously knows the demand for Super Mario RPG.
The potential here, the potential.
To the very like fact that they even added Gino as a Mii Gunner costume to at least satiate the fans. You know, they got at least that for them. The Mii Gunner is a character, you know, in the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate roster or whatever, and it's essentially just like a customizable thing.
Oh, right, it's like a create your own fighter type thing.
Yeah, Sans from Undertale is in Super Smash Brothers Ultimate via a Mii Gunner costume.
That's cool.
Yeah, you know, just little cameos like that. The Persona 3 protagonist is a Mii sword fighter costume, you know, etc.
Yeah.
People get it. People get representation. Fighters get representation, even though they didn't get a roster pick.
Right, and that's cool. That's cool. That shows that Nintendo, as imperialistic as Nintendo can be, and I'm gonna say it like that, right? Because I mean, I love Nintendo. Nintendo continuously reminds me what made me love them in the first place, right? And because there'll be times where I get to thinking about Nintendo and I'm like, man, they make me so sad. And then all of a sudden they do something like this. And I'm just like, they make me sad, and then they give me a popsicle and they say, it's kind of hot out here, bud. Here, have a refreshing snack. There you go, buddy. You know what I'm saying? And that written on that popsicle.
Come on, guy. It's not so bad.
Yeah, written on that popsicle says Super Mario RPG Remastered. And I'm just like, ah! You know what I mean? Like, ugh. My heart just starts pounding. And now that they're remastering it, the sky's the limit. The fact that they have Square Enix, like they came to some kind of agreement with Square Enix, right? Like I think Square Enix just knew, like, I mean, because they got hit across, they took it on the chin with the last Final Fantasy, right? Like they took it on
Oh
the
yeah.
chin. So I think they finally came to an agreement with Nintendo, and Square Enix is trying to remind us too of like, we did make Final Fantasy VII. We made Final Fantasy VI, for crying out loud. I mean, like we've made good Final Fantasies, and we'd really appreciate it if and they're not just known for Final Fantasy, granted, right? I mean, there's Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom
Oh
Hearts
yeah,
is
they got their series,
yeah, they've got their series, but like it just feels like they haven't really done anything worth mentioning in a hot minute. And to be honest with you, past Final Fantasy X, I really wasn't real big on it. On Final Fantasy after that, if I'm being real. Like I didn't really get into the whole Final Fantasy online. I really didn't care for 12
Oh yeah.
or
No, I'm with you.
like actually, it's funny. This last Final Fantasy, the one that nobody liked, apparently, I played a little bit of it and I kind of dug it.
15?
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. 15 is actually low key and actually a pretty good game.
It
Here's
seems
the
like
thing
it's got
about
a
it
good
though.
story. Like,
For the die-hard fans of Final Fantasy, when Final Fantasy 15 was coming out and being advertised, the thing that pissed Final Fantasy fans off about Final Fantasy 15 is that it did not live up to the promises that they made about the game. So
oh, they pulled a Cyberpunk.
they pulled a Fable.
Yeah, they pulled. Yeah, let's be fair. Let's be fair. Fable
They
did.
pulled a Fable, dude.
And everything
and
comes
that's the
full
thing.
circle, y'all. Everything comes full circle on this show.
And Fable is low key a fucking gangster ass game, but it didn't live up to the hype. So it's one of those things where it's like, but it's still low key a good game, you know? I didn't follow Final Fantasy 15's development, and I played it, and I was like, I fucking like this game. And I remember getting online and reading about it and being like, why don't people like this game? I'm like incredulous about this, and I found out that it's just one of those
A
things where
lot
they
of
pissed off the
promises
fans.
made that never. Yeah, well, I mean that's fair. Like as good as your game may be, you know, if you make promises
Don't
about it,
piss off your fan base.
yeah, if you make promises, you either, I think it would be better if game developers stopped being politicians and just started keeping it real and saying, we're trying to do this. Maybe it'll be in the game, maybe it won't, but we're trying. And if we get it done, you'll like it. If not, just know we wanted to do it. We just ran out of time. Right?
That's kind of what I like about the
what's so hard about doing that? What's so hard about doing that?
Right. That's kind of what I like about the philosophy of like Kickstarters. If they are done right and they're not just like abused or whatever, with the idea of like
If they don't do like the Charles
mile
Barkley, Charles Barkley's basketball 2,
right.
RPG, Charles Barkley RPG 2. Yeah.
Right, like with as far as the idea of milestone goals go, we raised such and such amount of money, we will put in the time and effort to put this feature into the game. But we're not going to be able to pay our staff to put in this effort if we don't make, enough money, sort of thing, which I get.
And that's what I love about, honestly, I guess that's why Nintendo is kind of looked at unfavorably, because they don't tell you a lot. They really don't. They just kind of dropped the Super Mario RPG in our laps.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of did. They just said, "Hey,
done."
They just came through the door. They haven't been talking about it, haven't done anything, and then they just showed up with it and said, "Surprise!" And bam, and it looks good. That's the thing.
Coming out this year.
Yeah, and it looks good.
Later this year.
Look at that. Look at those.
Do you think in the beginning, if you run in there and jump on the fucking Toad's head, it'll give you the 1-up?
Probably. I bet you it'll do everything. It's gonna do everything. Look at Peach, dude. Look at Peach. That is a good render of Peach,
Look at
bro.
Peach's mouth.
don't do that. Don't you dare do that. Don't you dare.
Have I shown you that meme?
No, but how
I'll
dare
show it to
how
you
dare
later.
you?
It's really funny.
No,
It's really funny.
I'm just talking about the renderings of everything though. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like
no, I'm
look at little Mallow there. He looks good, dude.
He's so
He
good.
looks so good. I'm trying to find a good still of Gino so we can get a good look at Gino because that's something
Dude, the man
everybody's
with the
been.
wood grain.
And that's the thing. Everybody loves Gino. I liked Gino, right? But one of the things I loved about this game even more was the fact that you could be Bowser. That you actually got to have a game. Oh, spoils for anybody who hasn't played this, listening to this trailer review. But it's also in the freaking trailer. Yeah, it shows you Bowser is a playable character. Like, I love the fact that, and is that Donkey Kong? Because I don't recall it's been a long time since I played this.
Really, but yes.
I don't remember him in the original game. I don't remember him. That's the weird thing. I don't remember this character.
It's not actually Donkey Kong. It's just a monkey.
Yeah, I don't remember this. I don't remember this at all, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't remember that. Like, I guess it's been a long time since I played this game. But, I don't... And I remember a lot of this stuff that I'm looking at here, right? And I don't remember that particular... You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't remember that particular sprite. I mean, look at them all together, dude. It's so cool. It's so stinking cool. Like, I love it. I love the fact that Nintendo did this. Like, it really... It's
pretty good.
It reinstills my faith in them. Like, whenever I start to lose faith in them, like, I know the Mario movie, like, was supposed to kind of do that. And for a lot of people, it might have, because, like, a lot of people were like, oh, finally, the Mario movie that we deserve.
I did not me.
I wasn't like that. I didn't care. Like, I was like, cool, a Mario movie.
It kind of made me lose some faith, if I'm being honest, because I'm like, I fucking hate minions in general, so to hire that scum, I feel very strongly about it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That's fine, because I personally, what is that Jack Black song? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments for this. This from the guy who came out with Wonder Boy, and this is what we're getting from him now. I'm sorry.
There, the crevasse.
Feel it with your mighty juice. I'm serious, dude. Like that first album. You know what I mean? Like their first album, Tenacious D's first album, was such a gem. I remember picking it up on my senior trip. I bought it. I found it in the store at the Hastings, which really dates this time. But I found it at the Hastings. I bought it, and I actually talked our driver into playing it on the CD player, because I didn't know. I knew who Tenacious D was. Like, I knew who Jack Black was. I knew because they had done stuff on HBO previously, right? And they were like, they had
the show Tenacious D.
Yeah, and they had made a cameo in the Foo Fighters' "Learn to Fly" music video and stuff. Like, I recognized Jack Black and Kyle Gass for a long time before they were like huge. I knew who they were just from little things like that, right? And then they but I didn't really know what to expect from that album. And the fact that every single song they harmonized the F word to such perfection that even the driver, who I half expected, who was our principal, the fact that he didn't
name dropping him.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Well, I mean, listen to that name. You gotta name drop that. Right? Listen to that name. He sounds like an RPG character. he literally turned around.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I half expected him to turn it off because he turned around and looked at me, and I was just like, "Oh, here we go." And he goes, "You know, they are really talented. I have yet to hear anybody be able to sing the F word with such melody." He was digging it. Like,
I mean, it's true,
so
to be fair.
so if I'm gonna diss the Peaches song, I have every right. Honestly, in my mind, whether or not, like, and you can get in the comments section, people can get in the comments section and diss me. That's fine. I accept it. I understand. But I have been with them guys for a long time, and to go from, like I said, to go from, there's other songs.
I wanna fuck you softly.
Stop. Stop. That was, it's funny because that's the song that was in my head, but I didn't want to say it. The Buttress of Windsor. The fact that they could go from that to Peaches. Come on, man. There's no creativity there. There
Well,
isn't.
to be fair, that's not technically Tenacious D.
No, but I mean,
Just on a technicality, but no, I'm still with you.
no, there's no creativity there. Like it's, and I get it. Like eventually you get so big that you kind of lose that special sauce that made you big in the first place. You get complacent. That happens to everybody. But whatever. That's just a side tangent. This game looks amazing, and I would really love for Nintendo to consider a live action Mario game or movie, another live action one. I would prefer that over
With Chris Pratt as Mario.
yeah. Why not? No, seriously. I would love it. Going back to the original point, why the animated movie didn't really excite me, because I don't feel like they did anything to fix the original Mario movie, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not really living down that by making an animated movie of it. They had an animated television show that they ran for a long time that was just as popular, if not, you know what I'm saying? Where they had two live action Mario and Luigi's who were goofy as all get out, So that could be considered embarrassing, but it's not. It's cool. That was a cool show. So I don't need an animated Mario movie. What I want is a good live action Mario movie, and let's get it done now, Nintendo. Come on, man. Let's do this thing. With that
There are some really cool ways that you could take advantage of that idea too. I won't spin off on it, but you really could make a really fucking cool live action Mario movie.
There are so many. Metroid, The Legend of Zelda, Mario. I mean, shoot, even Kid Icarus. I mean, come on.
Which is another game I'm still waiting on, which is another one I was gonna fucking go off on a tangent about, which I won't, but let's get another Kid Icarus game. I know they're I know
they've never been
waiting on it.
I know, and to be fair,
Kid Icarus Uprising was so good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I never played it. I know the original one was kind of looked at as kind of one of those games where it's so bad it's good. The original Nintendo port for it. But to be honest with you, nobody had a problem with it when it was out originally. In fact, it was one of their better games, to be honest. And I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm doing here. I am so pleased with Nintendo. It's just that now that they've shown me that the sky's the limit for them, let's really see if we can't knock on the clouds and see if somebody answers. You know what I mean? Let's go knocking on the sky just a little bit, seriously.
Let's get Super Mario RPG Part 2.
Exactly. Let's get Super Mario RPG, the movie. Let's do it. Let's do
shit.
it.
And make that the live action one.
Yeah, let's do it with Chris Pratt playing Mario.
And Johnny Depp playing Gino.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's weird, but I can see it. Actually, I
I
can,
know, me
dude, I can
too.
see it because Johnny Depp, if he wants to, he can, his problem is
That's what pisses me off.
he played Jack Sparrow too long. Now he thinks he's got to be a drunk pirate in everything he plays. But I mean, like honestly, Johnny Depp can play a very good stoic character, and I think he would do a good job as Gino, just playing this stoic puppet marionette. You know what I mean? I could see it, dude. Totally, totally see that. And you know what? Just to show that there's no hard feelings, let's get Jack Black to play Bowser.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
I almost guarantee he could nail it. I don't know why, but it's like he's got the face for it, dude. Like go and Google a picture of Jack Black just smiling, and then just get a picture of Bowser, and then put the two side by side. Their faces are shaped the same. It's crazy. I could see it. Like I'm not taking that away from him. I would definitely dig that. Jack Black playing Bowser, Johnny Depp playing Gino, you know.
Jonah Hill as Mallow.
Sydney Sweeney as Peach. And who would play Mario though? For real, who would play Mario? Because that's the thing, like
Ron Jeremy.
Ron Jeremy. He already has. Anyways. Great. I'm so happy though. I am so glad that they're bringing back Mario RPG, dude. Like honestly, it's going to be so good.
It is something that I have wanted for years. I'm so excited.
When I was a kid too, that was the thing. When I was a kid and they just acted like this game didn't exist, it broke a lot of people's hearts because information wasn't as widespread. You got to remember, like, I was alive when they invented like the internet as you know it now, cell phones as you know them now. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things were like government technology in my day, things like that. We didn't have widespread information like we did. You had to go to the library to get information sometimes, so a lot of us didn't know why this game got forgotten. And it broke a lot of our hearts because, like I said, there is something different about it. It's got a style all its own. It
hits so different.
It's like Mario 64 in that sense, where Mario 64, there's something just eerie about it. There really is, There is something utterly just otherworldly about Mario RPG. And there always was. And it just knew how to suck you in. Even if you're not an RPG fan, even if you're not a Mario fan, this game will grab you. It will.
Yeah, because it's important for me to note that I don't really fuck with Mario like that.
Me either.
Like, I don't hate Mario, like Mario's okay. I can sit down and enjoy a Mario game. But Mario RPG hits so different. I don't just like, if I'm going to sit down and play a game, usually I'm not going to be like, yeah, let's play Mario, right? It's just I'm not that kind of person.
I don't really mess with RPGs or Mario much either. Like nowadays, I used to back in the day, I used to be really big into RPGs, like during that time, like Chrono Trigger, The Secret of Mana, The Breath of Fire, you know what I'm saying? Games like that. Like I was real big into RPGs during that timeline, and then I've slowly, like I said, Final Fantasy X was probably like the last real RPG that I was that really into that I played, and then I was just kind of done,
Hot take: Final Fantasy X sucks.
Well, I yes and no. And maybe that was my problem, but there are characters that I like in it. You know what I mean? Kilmari in Final Fantasy X. I always liked him. I always liked that character. I liked the fact that he was so versatile. Like, you could do anything you wanted with him. He was the one character, even though you're technically playing, Titus or whatever his name is, Titus.
Technically, Titus.
Yeah, he wasn't. That's supposed to be you. He's your representation in the game. I never felt that way. I always felt like Kilmari was more my guy because he's the only dude that I got to do whatever I wanted with. Like, that was the whole thing about his sphere grid.
Because he's not a little flower pansy.
Well, you just get to do whatever you want with him. His sphere grid is so versatile. He takes from everybody else's deal. So whatever you decide to do with him at the end, he is the only real customizable character. Which I know, well, to be fair, nobody else in Final Fantasy is really like that. Right? Final Fantasy VII wasn't like that, right? No characters. So why does that feel like that for Final Fantasy X? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Final Fantasy VII was gritty and raw AF for its time. Final Fantasy X is not. It's just not. It's real flowery. It's colorful.
True.
You know what I mean? Final Fantasy VII is dystopian AF, my guy. Like, it is dark. It is gritty. It is, I mean, it doesn't have any right to be that way. You know what I mean? It's like, you're looking at it, you're like, who do you think you are being this way?
And it's
How
like,
dare you?
It,
yeah, exactly. Sephiroth is just giving you a half a smile, saying something polite, and then impaling a giant snake for you to find. You know what I mean? Like,
and also your girlfriend.
Yeah, and that's another thing, dude. I mean, so Square Enix has had some great achievements in its life. It's had some great achievements in its life. And to see that Nintendo and them have come together and said, okay, let's forget our differences. Nintendo, you're about to have a renaissance, obviously. Like, you're about to bring it. You've got Tears of the Kingdom. You're doing this, and Square Enix really excuse me, I just burped. Square Enix really needs to remind everybody, they forgot about Dre. That's really what Square Enix needs to remind everybody, that they forgot about Dre, that, we're all sleeping.
Oh, y'all keep walking around talking about guns like I ain't got none.
Yeah, exactly.
What, you think I sold them all?
Because I stay well off. Anyways, but yeah, we're sleeping on them now, and they're like, no, look at what we've done, and we're going to remind you, because now that you see that we're doing this, what else do we have in the pipe for you? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, what other torpedoes are we loading up? Because they still have Metroid, right? Shoot, we still have Metroid out there somewhere. We still have more Castlevania they could do something with. They got Metroid, Castlevania they could do something with, like you said, Kid Icarus. Shoot, man.
And what's interesting too is that watching this, I didn't really see any mention of Square Enix in the trailer. So really, to me, that just means that Nintendo has really just been in the lab with a pen and a pad trying to get this damn label off.
Well, they, at the very end, yeah, you said all that just so you could say that, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes, you did. They did. Look at Gino and look at Mallow right there. I love the fact that they put them front and center in this picture of all of them together so we can look at them. I just want to pinch Mallow's face, dude. I just want to pick him up and bring him home and be like, this is my... Bring him home to my wife and be like, this is our new son.
Yeah,
say hello to our new baby.
Doughboy.
Yeah, show him to our daughter and be like, look, here's your new brother. Here's your new baby brother. Check him out. She'd be like, ah, and then probably try to beat him up. That little girl's so vicious. But They do. Square Enix is mentioned here at the very end, at the very right there. You can't see it right now because I have
Oh yeah,
the player, but you can kind of see it
Nintendo
through
Square Enix. I
yeah.
see.
So there's a mention there. Like they're not just, but that's fine, right? Like it really was Square Enix was really just the developer for Nintendo, right? It is really Nintendo's thing. It's just Square Enix is a part of it, but I mean, think about all the cool stuff they could do together now. You know, like all the cool stuff that Nintendo could do. And Nintendo, personally, Nintendo, you have a lot of characters that people have forgotten about. You have a guy named Kozlov, and you have a character named Rygar that I know you tried to do something with Rygar during the Wii era. Try it again. Now really try it again, you know? Same thing with your Kozlov character. You guys had a game called Iron Sword that for its time was really good. You know, you guys have a lot of characters, and if you're working with Square Enix and you really want to introduce some of these cooler RPG elements and you're working with one of the RPG masters now, think about that. I mean, just think about that, you know. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you don't necessarily need them, right? Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, huge RPG games, open world RPGs that you didn't need Square Enix for. But think about just how much cooler you could be using Square Enix. That's all I'm saying, right? Am I off base for thinking that way, or is that like?
No, I feel you because a true Legend of Zelda RPG would be so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It'd be so good.
Yeah, I think so.
Put Square Enix at the helm.
You know, Nintendo's been toying around with this for years, right? It's partly why things like The Legend of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure, I think is what it was called, and Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. It's partly why those two games flopped so hard. Because we got used to how those games originally were with the original Legend of Zelda and the original Castlevania, that Zelda 2 and Castlevania 2 just really kind of clashed stylistically, right? But if we had been really paying attention, we would have realized that we loved Metroid. And there's not much difference between Metroid and Legend of Zelda 2 and Castlevania 2.
Yeah, I mean, like to the point where Metroid and Castlevania have spawned its own, like, because of their similarities, it spawned its own like
Metroidvania
subgenre of gaming. Yeah,
Yeah.
Metroidvania games.
But what's crazy about that is the fact that that terminology didn't even come around for Metroidvania until Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And everybody loved Castlevania
Exactly.
Symphony of the Night, but they're sleeping
It's so
on
fucking good.
yeah, but they're sleeping on Simon's Quest, when if it hadn't been for Simon's Quest, you wouldn't have ever gotten Symphony of the Night, because
Well, I agree, but Simon's Quest is a hard play, bro.
well, I watched the whole thing on it, right? And the fact that, you know what, one of the inspirations that they used for Symphony of the Night was they went back and they looked at the original Castlevania 2 and they said, let's do that. That's all they said. Let's do that. Because the guy who made Symphony of the Night, they gave him Castlevania and said, do something with it. We need sales on it. Right? Because Castlevania really wasn't doing that great and it was getting old. Right? It just seemed like the same thing every time, right? Well, the guy looked at it. He looked at Castlevania 2 and said, I'm going to do that. We've tried it once. Let's just do that. Let's just add this to it now. We have this, and this to do with it. And they did. So, I mean, if really, honestly, like, I'm not
And it
kidding.
worked.
Yeah, I'm not kidding when I say that you would not have Symphony of the Night if you did not have Simon's Quest. And yeah,
Well,
you're
that's
right.
the thing, though,
Simon's
is
Quest is a hard play. I mean, like,
it's a hard play, and some games are just missing a certain secret sauce. They kind of jump the gun. They're kind of ahead of their time, right?
yeah,
Like,
that's the
or
problem.
they're underdeveloped in some way, you know?
That's
And
really the problem.
that
Yeah.
is the problem. Like Simon's Quest, I'm not disagreeing with you, has like good qualities. It's just a hard fucking play, my guy.
It was ahead of it.
You
It
know?
was ahead of its time. We just weren't ready for it. Simon's Quest, Link's
Kind of like Demon's Souls.
yeah, exactly. Link's Adventure, we weren't ready for him yet. We just weren't. But I guarantee you,
Demon's Quest.
if it wasn't for Link's Adventure, you wouldn't have had Ocarina of Time.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, because Ocarina of Time is just a better Link's Adventure. That's all it is. It's just a
Yeah,
better
and
Symphony of the Night is just a better Simon's Quest. You know?
without Link's Adventure, you wouldn't have Link to the Past, I don't think, because they wouldn't have been like, well, let's for now stick to something that we know kind of works. Just kind of innovate off of this original idea.
Yeah, and that's what they did with Castlevania 3, and it was a great game. You know,
It's
it
yeah.
Castlevania 3 was the game that introduced Alucard to the Castlevania universe, and then we got Symphony of the Night. So, like, you know, like, yeah, I guess those games had to fail so we could get what we needed to get. So when the time was right, you know what I mean? At the appointed time, at the appointed place, we could get, you know, Symphony of the Night, Ocarina of Time, you know? And,
Yes,
you know,
because Nintendo's good about, especially about, and I know Castlevania is specifically Konami, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it's just originally on Nintendo hardware, but regardless, Nintendo specifically is good about taking principalities of old games or even ideas that they wanted to implement into old games and put them into new games because they're like, yeah, we just can't do that right now. You know, they get too ambitious with certain things. And that brings me to a point about Tears of the Kingdom is that it started off as a DLC for Breath of the Wild and ballooned out into something more,
mm-hmm,
you know?
mm-hmm,
They knew they had to make a full-fledged game for it.
yeah, yep. Well, all right. Well, I think we've talked long enough. I don't know how long this video is going to run for, but yeah, I guess we're going to call it here. I think this is a good place to call it. 2 games coming out. Fable,
Super Mario RPG.
Fable, and Super Mario RPG. Let's be fair to Fable. We didn't have as much to say about Fable as we did about Super Mario RPG, but we knew going into this we were gonna freaking geek out on Super Mario RPG. We were just kind of touching on Fable. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? We were just kind of
I used to
reviewing
like
Fable.
that's coming from, and no hate towards Fable. This is coming from somebody that has spent like hundreds of hours in Fable 2 alone.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like I
loved
used to crack out on Fable 2.
I
You
loved
know,
Fable. I loved the fact that in Fable, like they didn't weigh you down with all the like different armor sets and stuff like that. Like they didn't say buy this armor or get this armor and you'll be, you know what I mean? Like everything that was all style. And that was neat to me. And especially the fact that a lot of it isn't armor, especially come Fable 3. A lot of that isn't armor. A lot of that is just like suits and ties and stuff. You're walking around like almost Victorian doing like fantastical crap. And that's cool to me. Like, don't get me wrong about Fable. I loved Fable 2 and 3 and 1, although I didn't play 1 nearly as much as I did 2 and 3. I'll be honest. But I didn't really have a way to play those that game at that time, so I didn't really get into it. With that said, though, nothing against Fable, but let's face it, Super Mario RPG is definitely Casting a huge shadow.
Best in show.
Yeah, yeah, it's casting a huge shadow in this review. I can't wait. I can't wait. Everybody get ready for November. That's just I
Tell
mean,
my baby we got until November.
I tell you what, at Thanksgiving, I know what I'm gonna when we sit around and we talk about what we're thankful for, I'm gonna be like, I'm thankful for Mario RPG. I'll tell you that right now. I'm thankful that I got to live and see it. It feels like the moon landing. You know?
Ain't no man been on no moon.
Hey, no, we're not getting into that. This isn't a conspiracy channel. We're not doing that. We're not doing
Ain't no
that.
man been on no moon.
With that said, all you listeners and viewers out there, thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to all my subscribers. I love you all to death. You guys are a blessing to me. And to all you newcomers out there, I know, here's the thing, like, I know, and I do this too. You may watch something and you may like it, but you just don't hit the like button. I do that all the time. I don't have a lot of F's to give in life either. And I don't really have a lot of likes to give. But if you have any F's to give and any likes to give, go ahead and give them to me, please.
Do it.
I'd really
Hit the
appreciate
like button.
I would really appreciate the if you've made it this far, I would really appreciate it. I really would. It would help my channel grow, especially a subscription. If you guys decide to subscribe.
If you're gonna hit the like button, why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe?
Yeah, I would
Just do it.
I would really appreciate it. I know I've been listening here a lot lately to my videos and stuff, and I know that for a while there I was battling my audio, and now I think I've got my audio pretty good. Now I realize that part of my problem is that I'm really scatterbrained on a lot of my videos. So I'm going to do a little bit better. I'm still not going to write scripts. I'm not, because I want to be as genuine as I possibly can. But I'm going to be a lot more thoughtful and mindful of the things that I say and the way I present them. That way I don't repeat myself a whole lot and lose track and basically just treat you all like you're stupid. Like I should have to repeat myself 100 times to you. I shouldn't. And because you guys aren't. You guys are beautiful, shining souls, every single one of you. So I want you all to know this, that I'm trying to do better. You deserve better. And if you give me a subscribe, that will give me the fuel that I need to see within myself the ability to do better. With that said, I thank you all. And y'all come back now. You hear?